Nice to have you here. So we're going to be reading about 3 verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, continuing with chapter 89, which is entitled Krishna and Arjuna Retrieve a Brahmana's Sons. And today we'll be starting with text 45. So we just recite the invocation. And before I begin, I would first like to seek blessings from the assembled Vaishnavas. That you see fit to bestow your mercy upon me so that I can speak something relevant and bona fide from the pages of this most exalted scripture, the Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, especially reading from the 10th canto, the lotus face of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. Only by the mercy of Vaishnavas is anything possible, so I am seeking blessings, especially Arjuna Prabhu is here, Adi Purush Prabhus are here, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, so only by their mercy can we speak something relevant and bona fide. So you can all repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, the Samambonam, chapter 89, Krishna and Arjuna retrieve a Brahmana's sons, and text, starting with text 45, reading to text 47. I will just read Sanskrit and then the English up till 47. Darshayadvija sunamste mavagyatmanamatmana yetena kirtam vimalam manushastapayishanti. Translation. Lord Shri Krishna said, I will show you the Brahmana's sons, so please don't despise yourself like this. These same men who now criticize us will soon establish our spotless fame. Very powerful statement. Text 46. Iti sambasya bhagavan arjunena sahaswara divyam swaratam astaya prachi atichim disham avishat. Translation. Having thus advised Arjuna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead had Arjuna join him on his divine chariot, and together they set off toward the west. Text 47. Sapta dvipan sasindumscha sapta sapta girinarta. Girinata loka lokam tatatiya vivesha sumahatamaha. So word for word, you can repeat. Sapta, 7. Dvipan. What do you think Dvipan means? Islands, yes. Sa, with. Sindhu. What do you think Sindhu means? Oceans, yes. They're oceans. Cha, and. Sapta. What do you think Sapta means? 77. It says 7 each. 7 each. Girin. What do you think Girin means? Mountains, yeah. Giriraj, the king of mountains. Ata, then. Loka alokam. What do you think that is? Very good guess, but actually Loka Lokam is a mountain range separating light from darkness. And I knew you weren't going to get that one. The mountain range, you can repeat. The mountain range separating light from darkness. Tata, also. Atitya, crossing. Vivesha, he entered. Sumahat, vast. Said vast. Tamaha.
Tamaha.
What do you think, tamaha? Darkness, yes, tamas, darkness, ignorance. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Disciples of Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Followers of Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Lord's chariot passed over the 7 islands of the middle universe, each with its ocean and its 7 principal mountains. Then it crossed the Loka boundary and entered the vast region of total darkness. Purport. In Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada notes, quote, Krishna passed over all these planets and reached the covering of the universe. This covering is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam as great darkness. This material world as a whole is described as dark. In the open space, there is sunlight, and therefore it is illuminated. But in the covering, because of the absence of sunlight, it is naturally dark. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Visam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So we're picking up in the past time, specifically after Arjuna has given his word that he will not allow another son of the Brahmana to pass away. And as soon as that son appeared, he disappeared. And Arjuna went to the cities of Indra, Agni, Niriti, Soma, Vayu, and Varun. And he went there with weapons ready. He searched all their domains in the universe, from the bottom to the subterranean regions to the roof of heaven is described. And finally, having not found the Brahmana son anywhere, he decided that he was going to enter into the sacred fire, because he gave his word that if I fail to do this, I will take my own life. But just as he was about to do that, someone told him to stop. And who was that told him to stop? Krishna. Krishna said, stop, and he spoke to him the following words, which is what we read today. And the first verse was, Lord Krishna said, I will show you the Brahmana's sons. So please don't despise yourself like this, which is very, very important. These same men who now criticize us will soon establish our spotless fame. So I wanted to cover three main points. There are actually many, many, many points that can be discussed from just these three verses in small purport. As is every word of the Bhagavatam is potent to uncover the entire Bhagavatam. So the three main points in summary before we start. The first one is turning obstacles into opportunities. The second one is the shelter of the Lord and how it enables us to cross over the material world. And the third is the nature of the material world is darkness. Okay, so we'll start with turning obstacles into opportunities, which is very foundational to this verse. So the nature of this material world, as we'll discuss later and as has been mentioned, is darkness. And it means that the material world is perpetually presenting us with challenges. Anyone has that experience? Anyone here who's not been challenged at all in the material life and material world? So material life perpetually giving us opportunity to face challenges. And challenges are chances for growth. And if we seek solutions rather than playing the blame game. Anyone here likes to play the blame game? I'm the only one? Okay. So yeah, we like to blame others. And whenever something happens, it wasn't my fault. It was because this person did this or that situation or that happened like this, like that. So we play the blame game. So challenges, very difficult when we face obstacles on the path of devotional service. Purnachandra Maharaj wrote a really wonderful book called Challenges or Obstacles on the Path of Devotional Service. If you get a chance to read through that, very, very valuable. So we face these opportunities. Was recently listening to the Prabhupada Lilamrita audio book. And at the very beginning, there's a description of Srila Prabhupada being in Delhi after he had left his family, was residing in Vrindavan, and how he would travel to Delhi every day. In the heat, it was describing that it would go up to like 113 or 114 degrees Fahrenheit. And Prabhupada would still go out and try to sell his Back to Godhead magazines, was still trying to get his books printed, and described, how he collapsed and passed out, was gored by this cow, and how one man had to take him to the hospital. And Prabhupada reflected later how in those days he was actually thinking, I've completely surrendered to Krishna. I've left my family. I'm really trying to fulfill the order of my spiritual master. I'm trying to do everything for the service of Krishna, for the Lord. Why are there so many challenges? Why is Krishna making it so difficult? And then this statement was presented in Lilamrita, where it says, Prabhupada said, why, since I was now surrendered to Krishna, everything had to become so difficult? But years later, when the mission was established, he would say that at that time I could not understand, but now I see those difficulties were all assets. It was all Krishna's mercy. And we know that those were just the beginning of difficulties. Prabhupada would face so many difficulties after coming to America, what to speak of as he tried to establish this worldwide movement. But Prabhupada said that all those difficulties were assets. And I was thinking just how important it is for us to realize now Prabhupada is making this statement years later, after the mission had been established, after there were so many temples, after there were devotees, after there was books, there was so much quote unquote success. Then he was looking back and he was thinking, those were all assets. Those were all things that assisted in helping to make the success that has come. The challenge is in the moment to be able to see a challenge or a difficulty as an asset, to see how is this obstacle or this challenge, how is it actually being beneficial for me? I have one very good friend, he and I used to speak a lot, and we used to talk about having a kind of personal competition with ourselves when difficulties come or challenges come, or we find ourselves getting into a negative mindset or a blame game mindset. How quickly can we just say, can we get back to the point where we recognize, no, Krishna is part of this. Krishna is involved in my life. Krishna is, moving all, living and non-living entities. He is the source of everything. And I've invited him into my life and I'm trying to surrender to him. So what is Krishna trying to do in the situation? And to call out to Krishna, what do you want me to learn from this situation? How can I grow from this situation? So in Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada says that a person's greatness can be determined by their ability to tolerate provoking circumstances. So provocation is the
thank Krishna, not just tolerate. I'll just tolerate. Thank you.
Yes.
That's like refinement.
Say again.
Is that a refinement? Isn't that a refinement? To just be grateful for it, not just to tolerate it.
Yeah, well, this is an important point that we have a misconception of tolerance. That's the point. We misunderstand, I think, at least I do, definitely, and I know lots of people do, and lots of devotees do also. I often tell the story of one person I was sitting with, and I was allowing her to really open her heart. She was sharing something, and quite senior person, and then all of a sudden she said, I've been tolerating him for 15 years. And I thought, wow, that does not sound like tolerance. That sounds like suppression, and it sounds like something that's going to make you very, very ill and very sick. And then we had a whole conversation and talking with some other devotees, we were discussing how tolerance actually means the ability to digest a situation or a circumstance. And what does that mean? It means that something comes at us, whatever it may be, and it goes in, we chew on it, we swallow it, we take that which is nourishing from it, and we get rid of that which is not nourishing. We accept what is favorable and we reject that which is not favorable. So in that sense, we tolerate something by digesting it and growing from it, which we could also say means we become grateful for it. So real tolerance doesn't look like teeth gritting frustration. Tolerance looks like, I got it. This isn't easy for me to deal with, but I am growing from it because Krishna wouldn't give me something that wasn't for my betterment ultimately. So we see here Arjuna is about to throw himself in a fire, and Krishna then appears and says, no, I'm going to help you. I'm going to show you where the Brahmana sons are. And then he says, actually, these same people who are condemning us at the moment, they are later going to be the people who praise us and create our spotless fame. So in that one statement, Krishna is saying that you have to see what is not so easily seen in a circumstance or a situation. Does that make sense? It means I'm looking and seeing this growling, grumpy Brahmana who's basically cursing my brother, cursing us because, his sons are dying and the king is responsible for the well-being of everyone in the kingdom and all of these things. But instead of seeing that, we see, oh, this person is trying to help me. That is definitely not so easy. So opposition is how we grow. It's how we generate strength. If anyone here has ever tried to build muscle in any way, vocal muscles, acting muscles, physical muscles, the brain muscle, you have to generate and create opposition. So only through resistance does muscle grow. If you just lift like, this every day, even if you just do that every day, it's creating some resistance. You're going to grow. But generally, you have to create, the more resistance there is, the greater the strength. And bodybuilders actually do something called ripping, where they rip their muscles. They tear the muscle so that it grows back stronger. So we're not encouraging people to rip themselves, but sometimes, I've had a personal experience, it feels like the material energy is ripping me apart. Anyone else has felt like that? It's like my whole being is being torn. People say, I feel torn, I feel twisted. So like that. So Ramnath Maharaj says, obstacles become blessings with the right angle of vision. Try to understand your life's lessons and persevere while humbly seeking shelter of the Supreme Beloved within your heart. God. Okay, so that leads us nicely to the second point, which is that the shelter of the Lord enables us to cross over the material world. So Bhagavad Gita 7:14 explains, Davyesha gunamai, mama maya duratyaya, mama evelya papadyante mayam itam taranti te. And that is that this divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is, yes, very difficult. Duratmama is very difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Now, there's one word in this translation that I have always had problems with. Sorry, Prabhupada, it's easily. Easily cross beyond it. It's like, I've yet, I remember one senior godbrother, he said that this phrase by Prabhupada, chant and be happy. We get it. Chant, we get be happy, but the and is really the difficult part. What is the and? It's like getting to the be happy part. Sometimes, even though we're chanting, it's like some people were chanting, oh God, I got to chant my rounds, right? Oh God, it's like, got to practice devotional service, whatever it is. Sometimes we may feel like that. It's not susu kam kartamamyam. So can we easily cross beyond it? Well, actually, it's a lot easier than the materialists. Although sometimes we may think that materialists are enjoying, but actually they're just, as we'll read in a moment, they're becoming more and more entangled in the material energy. So Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-58. Samashrita ye pada palaba plavam mahat param punya yasho murare bhavam burir vatsa param 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 yad viparam natesham. Great verse, huh? For one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, everything becomes easier. Again, that's the word, easy. Everything, and not just like certain things, everything becomes easier. Indeed, even crossing the great ocean of Bhavamburi, nescience, is exactly like crossing the Vatsapadam. Vatsapadam means the hoof print of a calf. For such a devotee, there is no question of remaining in a place where every step is dangerous. So simply by taking shelter of the Lord, actually the material ocean becomes just like the size of a calf's hoof print, and we can easily cross over it or cross beyond it. Now, as I'm saying these things, I'm mindful that sometimes we may think, yeah, right. It doesn't seem like that. Tell that to Queen Kunti. I think we were hearing about her yesterday. I was mentioning how her prayers, she prays for calamities to come again and again. Of course, we do not encourage devotees necessarily to pray like that. Our personal experiences, calamities come whether I pray for them or not. No need to pray. So, but she is such an elevated personality that for her, she understands that when there are difficulties, then I call out to Krishna. Often when things are going great in our life, we think, I'm so great, it's all so good, by my efforts, by my endeavors, by my talents, by my strengths, everything is manifest. But when things get tough, these two hands come together and we immediately begin to pray, offer prayers. So in the purport to Srimad Bhagavatam 5.119, Srila Prabhupada says, our actual duty is to carry out the supreme order of the personality of Godhead. If we are fixed in our determination to carry out the supreme order of the Lord, we are always secure, regardless of where we are situated, whether in hell or in heaven. So in this way, we have to understand that our duty is to try to serve the Lord in whatever way we have. The Lord has blessed us, each of us, with specific talents, capacities, capabilities. He has made each and every one of us perfectly. We are perfectly designed by the Lord. And if we're thinking, as actually in the verse, it says, please don't despise yourself like this, right? Krishna says to Arjuna, don't despise yourself. Sometimes we can get into this mentality where we actually don't like ourselves. But that is a direct blasphemy of the Lord, because the Lord has made us. The Lord has created us in such a way that we are perfect. We just need to figure out how to engage our talents in his service, and then everything becomes Om Purnamadi Purnamidam, because all emanations from the Lord are also perfect and complete, right? The Lord is perfect and complete, and everything that emanates from him is perfect and complete. The problem is we don't think we're perfect and complete, right? We think that we're incomplete, which is why we're busy running around in the material world looking for something to give us pleasure. Because I'm not happy. Now I'm hungry. Now I need to go to the bathroom. Now I need to sleep. Now I need to wake up. Now I need to do this. I need to brush my teeth. I need to do all of these things in order to try to become complete. But the actual fact is we are already perfect and complete. But we become perfect and complete when we connect with the Lord. The whole principle of Bhakti Yoga devotional service is that we actually connect like the hand. The hand is complete, but it's incomplete in the sense that it's not connected to the arm, to the whole. So when we reconnect to the whole, then we can realize ourselves as perfect and complete. And this brings us to that point was the shelter of the Lord enables us to cross over the material world. And I'm rushing because we don't have so much time if we're going to leave time for some comments. So the last point, the nature of the material world is darkness, but we are actually light. We're tatashta, or marginal. The material world is darkness, it's temporary, and the spiritual world is light, pure light, Satchit and Ananda. The lower planetary systems are the heaviest, darkest energy, except the subterranean heavenly planets, of course. But the heavenly spheres are illuminated by knowledge, and the higher you go, the longer the life and the pure everything is. It's described that Lord Brahma is comprised predominantly of intelligence. So that means when there's intelligence, as we know, nescience means darkness, knowledge means light. So when one is comprised of intelligence, one functions in the higher mode of goodness, and then one moves to the platform of transcendence. But dark energy is ignorance, and often we carry around the dark energy, negative energy. It is ignorance. It is not illuminated by light. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, when all of the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge, by intelligence, then we come to a higher platform. So what is that? That's knowledge. That's into evam bude param budva samstad yatmanam, that we have to use intelligence to elevate ourselves. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, natad bashayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha na gatva na nirvantante tadama paramam mama. That supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to the material world. So the spiritual world doesn't need the sun or the moon. The material world is darkness. If it wasn't for the sun, and it's described that the sun is like the eye of the Lord, it's also described that it's kind of like a hole where the spiritual world is shining through into the material world. It's like if there's a dark day, if anyone's ever seen like clouds, like yesterday, the clouds gathered in the evening. And then all of a sudden, like this little boom, this little hole appears in all the clouds. And what happens? All the sun rays shine through. So it's a similar thing that the spiritual world shines in. So in the Happening album, Srila Prabhupada, we were reading this morning, explains that the material atmosphere in which we are now living is called Maya, or illusion. And Maya means that which is not. And what is the illusion? The illusion is that we are trying to be the lords of the material nature, while actually we are under the grip of her stringent laws. When a servant artificially tries to imitate the all-powerful master, he is said to be in illusion. We are trying to exploit the resources of material nature, but actually we are becoming more and more entangled in her complexities. Prabhupada is just so brilliant. I love this. Therefore, although we are engaged in a hard struggle to conquer nature, we are ever more dependent on her. The illusory struggle against material nature can be stopped at once by revival of our eternal Krishna consciousness. So we are Tatashta, which means we can either go to the darkness or we can go to the light. We're spiritual by nature, but we are covered by the material energy. We are not the material energy. We are not this body. We are the spiritual body. We are a spirit soul, eternally connected with Krishna. And when we reconnect with that, then when we take shelter of the Lord, then we move towards the light and away from the darkness. So there's a quote by someone named Marianne Williamson, which I've always found greatly inspiring. And she says that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, or fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Anyway, I've always found that greatly inspiring. It's not necessarily Shastra quote, but I think it definitely lines up with Shastra.
Prabhu, what was that quote from?
It's from a lady named Marianne Williamson. You can search.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. Thanks,
Right?
Prabhu.
Okay.
Presidential candidate.
She was running for president.
At some point, yes.
Really? Okay. So, didn't know that. So we have to decide whether we let our light or our darkness shine. This will determine whether we're taking shelter of the Lord and traversing the material energy, or whether we are being submerged in the ocean of darkness and ignorance. And this also determines whether we see obstacles as opportunities for taking such shelter. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. So I'll conclude there and leave some time for comments, questions, concerns, chastisements, criticisms, or whatever else there might be. Yeah. We have a person in the room who would like, could you, someone help with it here? Need a camera person.
So I guess my question is the question about how do you go from like, first, thank you so much for your lecture, Jai Nitai Prabhu. My question is, when you talked about like what tolerance actually means.
Yeah.
And it's like about, it's like acceptance and like almost like gratefulness for the challenges. But like, how do you, what are things that you could do like day to day? Because otherwise, like, it's like, oh, like you're tolerating in like the like wrongs, like the way that it's like you're like living with frustration and you're just like, oh my God, like it's okay. But like, how do you switch your mentality? Like, what are things that you could do every day to like actually practice true tolerance for your difficulties and challenges?
Yeah, nice question. And so, yeah, actually, if we think about it, every day the material energy is giving us plenty of opportunities to practice. So, for me personally, most times, my practice is failure. Kind of like Thomas Edison, took him 10,000 tries to create the light bulb, right? Something like that. So, often, yeah, I default to the negative kind of mentality and to see things positive. But the point is that we have to keep reminding ourselves, just like someone was saying the other day that they gave a book, a Prabhupada book to their mother. And she read it and she said, oh, he just seems to keep repeating himself. And then we were discussing how, yeah, Prabhupada repeats again and again, you're not this body, you're spirit, soul, you're not this body. And we hear it so many times and we think, yeah, I know, I'm not this body, spirit, soul. But then what do? We go off and act like a body and we treat other people like bodies and we forget that we're spirit souls and we forget to include Krishna. We forget Krishna is the taste in water when we're drinking water. We forget that he's the light of the sun and the moon when we see the sun and the moon. We forget. That is our natural conditioned state is to forget. So we have to, I would say the first step is to, when there's a situation comes, to just try to call to the forefront of your mind to remember, oh, this is one of those opportunities where I can try to practice, because I don't think every opportunity is going to be exactly a formula of what I do. Like, okay, you take the red pill now, and then you like drink 2 glasses of water, and then, take a deep breath, whatever it is. But sometimes we just need to call to memory the fact that, oh, this is one of those opportunities where I'm about to push something down without actually trying to digest it. I'm about to stick it and tuck it away somewhere and pretend like it didn't matter and try to forget about it, when actually it's just going to come out like a volcano later when someone says, please pass the salt, And so just to say, oh, maybe this is one of those things where I need to take shelter of Krishna and I need to try to ask Krishna, okay, Krishna, why have you brought this before me? I'm simply an instrument. I'm trying to become an instrument in your hands. I'm trying to serve you. I'm full of frailties and, so many misgivings, but I'm trying. So I'm reaching out to you. What would you like me to learn from this? And understand that he's not, he doesn't necessarily have to open the clouds up and manifest before you and say, I just want you to learn to be a little more patient. But sometimes he may actually immediately give you an answer from within, that the more attuned and in tune with Krishna and the heart we are, the more we may hear, oh, maybe I just need to learn to listen. Maybe I just need to learn to be a little bit more patient if someone cuts me up. Maybe I need to recognize that I also have these same frailties, and that's why I can see them in others. Oh, Krishna is showing me a mirror of what I did to that person last week. These are like little things that happen. So you get little nuggets, little gems of wisdom that come when we put a break, in between. Like there's an idea that there's cause and response, right? So something happens and I have to react. But actually what we have to do is respond. And we can generate as much space in that as we like, but we don't often put any space in between the cause and the reaction. But we need to respond. And that's the point of the word responsibility. Means that we have the ability to respond to a situation in the correct way. Yeah. So like that. Does that make a little bit of sense? Sorry, I rambled on a bit. Thank you for your question.
Mean has something.
Okay. Ming,
Yeah, thank you so much for the class. I think we're all responding positively to how you spoke about tolerance. And I think someone put it in the chat, like Timothy said, digest, don't suppress, digestion, not suppression. Um, the whole of your lecture, I think, sort of moves me to this notion of tolerance where that it requires tolerance also requires intelligence.
Mm.
That also being tolerant, it's that way leads to the sense of our own agency in many ways, and even peace and gratitude, because Krishna is there to sort of aid us through these times. And I think for the first time, you kind of unlocked the third verse of Shikshashtakam, being more tolerant than the tree. A lot for a while, I think I sort of had a wrong notion of that, but it doesn't mean being tolerant more tolerant than the tree doesn't really mean that we repress our emotions and pretend like we're someone who's indestructible, that we must wear some kind of armor to move through difficulties. And I see that that's a wrong understanding of who we really are, and more importantly, our relationship with Krishna. You said something, and right after that, you spoke about Krishna telling Arjuna, try to see what we're not able to see at the moment of difficulty. I like to ask, so what is then the best way to try to see the way? I could sort of understand that as the light in the darkness. Would that try to imagine things, when we're in difficulties, and we get this desperate and, oh, Krishna is like here and trying to help me. But maybe there's a way of being more grounded in that process of trying to see what we can't see at that moment.
Yeah, thank you, Min. And we only have maybe a minute or two, but thank you for your reflection. Thank you for your encouragement. And by the mercy of my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, I'm able to sit here and speak anything. So very grateful to them and all my teachers. So this last point, just so it's clear, yeah, I don't think I quoted Krishna as saying we have to see what we can't see. That was kind of just a statement that came. But the point is that on the exterior or on the outside, we may see, I don't know why for some reason it keeps coming to mind, like, a grumpy old person. But actually, we have to see that inside that person is actually a spirit soul who's also suffering in the material world, just like the rest of us. So you already answered your question. It's with intelligence that we're able to see that which we may not see externally. So we have to develop the consciousness to see and understand what's going on behind the scenes, not just take what's going on in front of us. I hope that makes sense. We're ready for darshan now, so I'm going to conclude here. Huh? Oh, it's Anupam's birthday. Haribol, Anupam Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Aham bhajami Govindam Hari Purusham Aham bhajami Vedam Kanvantam Arvingadayakacham Bhavatam Samasitam Pura Sundaram Ishesha Shobha Yasya Sakanan Priyaprikumami Trikayanti Juganti Sadhu Govinda Maripurusham Dhammam Bhajami Govinda Maripurusham Dhammam Bhajami Govinda Maripurusham Dhammam Bhajami Govindam Hari Purusham Bhagavami Govindam Hari Purusham Bhagavami Govindam Hari Purusham Bhagavami Govindam Hari Purusham Jai. Jai. Which you can obtain pure devotion service. Bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean. The mercy of Krishna. Only wish to purify by perfection of all desires. He opens my heart and eyes, fills my heart with knowledge. He heals my earth at birth. From him ecstatic praying emanates. Lion makes existence joy. Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master, the ocean verses. My friend of the poor and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of the lotus feet. May the angels all over the hills. We take shelter of the lotus feet. The Prabhupada King.
Thank you, Jai Nitai Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Afterglow. Anupam Prabhu, please unmute yourself and start receiving the glorification on this occasion. Did I get it right, by the way? Is it your birthday?
Yes, today is my
Right.
birthday. Yep, 30 years
What are,
old.
what are your realizations?
Um, I'm so happy. I'm just so happy to be in the association of devotees at this age. And yeah, I could say I was at my spiritual master's Vyas Puja last year. And, he gave this really heartfelt talk at it, and in it he said um, something that really struck me because he's a very humble person, of course, but he made this statement about how he and his wife, Mother Nirkula, are so grateful that they've put so much time and energy and focus into their spiritual lives from such a young age. And looking back now, you know, as he's almost 70, he feels so grateful to have put that time in and to now be receiving the benefits. He didn't say that exactly, but that's kind of what I felt he was implying. And so I had that thought early on that one day I'm going to be really old and I'm going to look back at my life and I'll either be disappointed and have this sense of longing and like I missed out and I could have done better, or I'll be very satisfied and having given my life to a higher purpose. And so yeah, birthdays for me are definitely a reminder of that fact that time is passing on and I'm getting older now, officially out of my 20s, and and yeah, just kind of sobering milestones in uh, in this uh, in this quick journey here of this lifetime. So yeah, I'm feeling inspired by the class for sure, and I had a reflection. I really liked how Jai Nitai Prabhu said that tolerance means not just to grit your teeth and bear something, but to digest it. And that really resonated with me. And that there have been many instances like that where the only way I could get through something was to take ownership of it and um, embrace it. And once I did that, instead of just thinking about the thing or thinking how to get out of it, then all of a sudden I felt liberated and able to make progress towards, you know, something new. So I like that, and I had a question, which was, you know, Krishna doesn't directly talk to us, or at least me. He doesn't call me up or come to me in my dreams or anything. So, from what I understand, one of the main ways he does communicate with us is through, you know, things happening to us. And so, in that sense, how do we tell the difference between Krishna strengthening us when, you know, something happens that seems to be a deterrent versus him actually trying to deter us, you know, from doing something?
Great question. I've always had this question too, Anupam Prabhu. So Jamuna Jaya has her hand up. Maybe she has an answer. Let's see. Jamuna Jaya?
And I didn't have my hand up about that, because that's a great question. First of all, happy birthday, Anupam. I can't believe you're only 30 years old. Wow. Such, I've known you for such a long time. To think how young you were when I met you, and what wisdom there is in that, in this lifetime young body, and many, many more. Blessing to you. Yeah, I don't just like, I wasn't going to answer that, but my first thought about that was that that's one of those guru sadhu shastra moments for me. I seek my mentors, and I seek their advice when I'm like, what is happening and why is this happening? But I'd love to have, I was going to comment on something else, but I'd love to hear what Adi has to say about that, and maybe I'll get back to my comment if I'm still here. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Adipusha Prabhu?
Okay, well, it's an excellent question. The willingness is the key. We put it before the Lord and we say, I'm not sure what to do, but I'll do whatever you like. And Krishna will give us, he'll answer that. He says he does, but whether or not we're willing. Now, if we have an attachment or an aversion, we will not be able to hear Krishna. First thing is to put it before the Lord, and second thing is be careful that we're ready to go this way or that way. Lord, I'll do whatever you want. I'm not sure what to do, but I'll do what you want. And then be careful of, I want this answer, I don't want that answer. If we have that attachment or aversion, we will not hear Krishna. But Krishna will answer us. He's there for us. He wants to help us. And it's whether or not we're going to open the door. There's some really nice quotes from Marianne Williamson. He quoted that quote today from Marianne Williamson. It's from a book called Return to Love, and it's such a funny Shastric book. I have some of my favorite quotes from there. She says, we know we're supposed to surrender to God. So we surrender some things, but we think, my finances, my romances, I better not surrender those to God because he might mess it up. I better take care of those myself. We're supposed to surrender everything. It says that if Jesus is not the master of all, he's not the master at all. So we surrender. That's one of my favorite quotes. She said, don't think we're just going to surrender this and that, and then we're going to keep these other things and not put them. But if it's so important for our happiness, why not put it before Krishna, who loves us and has the greatest wisdom? Another quote, just one more quote. She had a boyfriend, and people team up, hopefully, and to serve God, But sometimes they team up for mutual sense gratification. Sometimes. Most cases, that's what our relationships are about. And so she said, my boyfriend said to me, Miriam, it's me and you against the world. She said, when I heard that, I said, I think I'm going to change sides. Because we tend to do that, let's me and you against the world. No, we're all connected, and our happiness is connected to pleasing Krishna, and Krishna is pleased when we are beneficial and giving and caring for everyone, because Sundakar always says that thing, underneath everything, everybody loves everybody, which is kind of an interesting to remember, but we forget how to express it. Anyway, I'm talking too much. Well, glories to Prabhupada, Hare Krishna. Wonderful class. Wonderful, wonderful. One more thing. He was talking about how opportunity, in Chinese language, there's a character, and it has an upper and a lower part. And crisis is connected to opportunity. It's part of the same character, but one part of the character means crisis, and the other part means opportunity. And so Yogi Pure, I used to tell Yogi Pure, you know what? It seems like I'm always in hot water. So he would say to me, then you become very clean. Anyway, of course, Prabhupada, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Adipusha Prabhu. Anupam Prabhu, was that helpful?
Kind of. I'd like to hear, is there any instances Adi Prabhu could share where he put something before the Lord and then Krishna practically responded and gave him a definitive yes or a no?
Yeah. And how was it? Was it a voice from the heart, or was it a book, or what is it? What was it, Adipusha Prabhu?
Well, we have this picture in the office with the guest rooms. We have 91 guests every night. We have all kinds of people in all kinds of degrees of enlightenment or being covered over or somewhere in between. And so things happen all the time. And we've been doing guest program for 27 years. We had 91 guests last night on 8th Avenue, another 30 or 40 ones on 21st Street, some on 3rd Street. So things happen with these people, and then every single time that something comes up, when we're not sure what to do, we have this picture on the wall of the demigods on the shore of the Milk Ocean with Lord Brahma reciting the Purusha Shukta prayers. And they say, Lord, the earth is overburdened by the defense forces of demoniac kings, and we're not sure what to do, but we'll do whatever you like. So we do that all the time. And Nanda Vihari go before that picture with folded hands. We say,
Yeah.
oh, we don't know
Did
what.
did that picture talk to you?
Every single time it's been resolved. Every single time.
So, in other words, Krishna is capable of communicating with us clearly. He's not dyslexic. He's not less intelligent. Krishna is fully capable of getting through to us. Is that what you're trying to say?
If we don't have an attachment to this answer or an aversion to that answer, Krishna will hear him. Why not? Why not? But
But
some
how can we not have an attachment?
Lord, and sometimes they can't hear it because they're attached.
But isn't everybody attached? Unless you're a pure devotee, doesn't everybody have an attachment one way or the other? How can we hear? How
Krishna
can anybody practically?
intelligence to look in our own heart. Say, Lord, I'll do whatever you like. I really, really mean it. I really will do whatever you like. And then when you start to say that, you go, oh my God, I hope he doesn't say this. You'll feel it. I'll do whatever you like. I'll go here, I'll go there. I'll work with this person, I'll work with that person. And we try to make our decisions. Yadunat was calling me yesterday because he's considering working with us, and, Ananda Vihari was giving him all the downside and the difficulty. We call Ananda Vihari Debbie Downer sometimes. But, we want to hear that, but you can't figure it out by your own puny brain.
Until you try, right?
But we can say, well, I said, well, he said, what should I say to him? Should I tell him the difficult things? And I said, put it before the Lord and say, Lord, what do you want me to do? If you want me to work with this group of crazy devotees, I'll do it. If you don't want me to, I won't. That's all we're asking him to do, is to pray about it. We're not trying to convince him to work with us. He's actually called me yesterday. So we're going to go on with that. And I'm going to tell him that, comedy, he's a comedian. You know that? He's a stand-up comic. He does stand-up comic. So a boxer goes into the gym and punches the punching bag, but that's different from being in the ring. So comedy, just, ivory tower, you know, theoretical comedy is one thing, but when you have a particular service, so I'm going to tell him we're looking for a resident comedian, you know, because comedy is a good way to break through the uh, uh, the questions and the drama and the contentiousness that comes up. Das is fantastic like that, right?
Yeah.
So funny. All glories to Prabhupada. Prabhupada would laugh like anything. He does laugh like anything.
Thank you, Adipusha Prabhu. Min has her hand up.
Yes, thank you. I met Das for the first time when I first met the devotees in person, which was in Danadar Swami's Vyasa Puja, and he did a skit, and I thought that was like the thing people do in this movement where you gather for birthday celebration and do comedy. But I wanted to thank Adipusha for what you just shared, because in many ways that answered my question I had posed before, where how do I see the light in a situation where I seem to be very in a desperate situation? What should my attitude be so I'm not imagining things? And for the most part, I think I'm imagining things for my benefit, and or the scary situations that I don't want to be faced with. Even more than the situation I'm imagining the worst scenarios, and being not wanting to have that experience. So I think the difficult part in this process is really giving to Krishna, telling Krishna, do whatever you like. Many times that's kind of scary. And because you're essentially telling him that take over my life and do whatever you like. I mean, that's a huge thing, or has been a big thing for me. I'm getting a little more comfortable in making prayers like that, and and that light in that situation is to have faith that the light in that situation that would eventually come to is is the is what Krishna presents to us. So yeah, I mean it's a difficult thing, but thank you so much for making that very clear.
Well, it's interesting. Like, suppose you're going through heart surgery. If you think the if you think the surgeon is competent, you'll relax. So we hear about how wonderful is Krishna. That's why it's important to hear the glories of the Lord. And here's Domi leaving for China. She's getting in the cab right now. So we're just going to walk across the street here. Oh, she's running back in the house. Yeah, Krishna knows what he's doing. He's a good, competent surgeon. We can submit to heart surgery. Hare Krishna.
Hi Krishna, hello. I'm so shy. Hi Krishna.
Hare Krishna Domi, thank you so much for your association, for the service, for all the good things that you've done, and wishing you a safe journey. Stay connected with Krishna, and thank you again for your association, friendship, and the care and example.
Bless me that I can be always with devotees. Oh, 1 second, my car is leaving. Okay, Adi Prabhu will say something.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Adipusha. That
She doesn't know if she's going to be able to come back. And she's done tremendous for the last 3 years. So
was
we're
good.
grateful that she was here, and I'm confident that wherever she goes, Krishna will arrange. Look at this kid growing up. Unbelievable. Such a handsome guy.
Adipusha, thank you. Okay. Ram. Okay, so thank you very much, dear devotees. If anyone wants to speak, please go ahead. If not, we'll wrap it up. It's a Sunday. We're going to give it to Krishna. We're going to associate with the devotees. We're going to practice tolerance. And because other people are tolerating our foolishness, therefore we should be comfortable tolerating other people. It's okay. And Krishna is capable. Krishna knows what's going on. He can get through to us through the layers of ignorance and ego and fear and all those things. We may be small and covered over, but Krishna is a capable surgeon. He'll surgically get through to us.
I remember Ronald Reagan when he was shot. He went to the hospital, and the doctors were there, and they were going to operate on him. He said, "Are you guys Republicans?"
We had such a kind day, and you dragged it down into politics, Adipusha Prabhu. We need a higher note to end the class. I remember Kripamaya Prabhu, Jahnavi's father, was answering this question. How do we know if Krishna is trying to deter us or he's trying to make us stronger? He said that you'll never know until you try. So consult with the devotees, try with your best intention to please Krishna, try things out. It's okay, and see what happens. That's what Srila Prabhupada did. He didn't take it as a deterrence. He took it as a challenge for Krishna, and look what came of it. Look at Saurabh Prabhu, is a glowing devotee, because Srila Prabhupada took up the... What's that?
You need neck beads.
Neck beads, they're coming in the mail, yes. Ram keeps breaking my neck beads. It's the baby's fault, not my fault.
Yes, Ram. Hare Krishna. Ram, I see you. We hear
Did you
you.
break my neck beads?
Love you. Krishna's in your heart. We hear you, Ram. Ram. Hare Krishna. He knows. He hears that. He's looking. Bye-bye.
Okay, Hare Krishna, nice seeing you. Happy Sunday. Devaki Priti, please recite the Maha Mantra.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Wow.
Hare Krishna.
Great. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.